beginning, Caesar Augustus called for a census.
I call for a census. King Herod, inform your people I have called for a census.
King Herod went to his people.
All my subjects, Caesar declares a census. You must travel to Bethlehem to be counted.
The angel goes to Mary. Mary and Joseph begin their travels.
I don't know what is happening here. This can't be right. How is this happening? Should I even be with Mary?
There it is in a nutshell. Didn't they do a great job? They are wonderful. It's wonderful to see our children in here, isn't it? It's just great. So you can see that this journey that Mary and Joseph were on was fraught with danger and doubt. And they're wondering, what are we doing here? Now, this is the second week of Advent, and if you recall last week, we talked about in the beginning, we were. Before the Big Bang, before the world was, we existed. We were here somewhere in a different dimension. And we have always been and we will always be. That kind of puts things into perspective in our life, doesn't it? Doesn't it kind of put things into a different perspective of saying, you know what, we've always been and we will always be. This is just a little problem. This is just a little bump in the road. And when we look at it that way, we begin to see that things are different, that things can be very, very different in our life as we begin to look at things from a different perspective. This story is not only about the little baby that was born 2,000 years ago. It is about you and me. It's about the coming of the Christ within us. Jesus came to teach us that, to let us know that the Christ was within us. And all we needed to do was become aware of it. And here it is 2,000 years later, and most of us haven't become aware yet. So it's time for us to really begin to work on this, and the time is right with everything that's happening upon the earth right now for us to make a quantum leap in consciousness. I don't know about you, but I'm ready. I'm tired of messing with all this little stuff. Aren't you? Yes. You know, it just gets to be a little wearing every once in a while. And so this is the story of our Christ self coming into the world, coming into a new birth within each one of us. And this week, we are talking about Joseph. Now, Joseph was an interesting fellow. He was an older man. He was a widower. And he was marrying this young girl. And that was not unusual in those days. But then something happened, and he found out that Mary was pregnant. It was like, oh my goodness. You know, in those days, that was a really big deal. That was a really not good thing. I mean, that was punishable. And so Joseph was really a very, very nice man. He was a good man. And so he decided that what he would do is he would put Mary away quietly. Now, I don't know what that means, but it doesn't sound good. But since he was a very kind man, we'll have to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was just going to walk away. Joseph, at this stage, represents the rational mind, which calculates the damage. Now, we all have that rational mind that calculates the damage, don't we? And, you know, a whole industry has built up around this idea of calculating damage and spinning. There are people who literally work at changing facts, putting a spin on them so that they don't look so bad. And I don't know if any of you have seen the TV show Scandal. There's this group that does all kinds of things to make sure that problems go away. And so this was Joseph. He was in that state of mind of, you know, whoops, something happened and we need to do something about it so that it doesn't look quite so bad. And so back, you know, so an angel came to Joseph while he was asleep one night. And Elizabeth Santurner in Your Hope of Glory says that Mary received a revelation from the Lord when the angel appeared to her, but Joseph received his revelation indirectly. The angel appeared to him in a dream. And this signifies that spiritual enlightenment comes more directly through intuition, because that's what Mary represented, intuition and love. However, when the understanding is illumined, it is obedient to divine guidance. And so Joseph too received a message and he followed it. Joseph acted on the inspiration he received and devotedly cared for Mary. Now, where in life do we have doubts upon the road of our journey? There are many places where we become doubtful. And when we're becoming aware of this miraculous birth, where did these things come from? And how do we react? And sometimes that's one of the things that holds us back, because we don't know if we're going to have to change drastically or not. And we don't know what we will tell our friends and our family and our coworkers about the ways that we have changed. And let me tell you, don't be afraid, because these changes are going to be wonderful and you're going to be delighted with them. Maybe from where we're standing at the moment, they don't look like they might be, but truly they are going to be wonderful changes and we are going to be very, very happy with them. But on this journey, it is fraught with doubt and danger. We don't know what's going to happen. We're a little fearful of that, and so we hold back. But Mary and Joseph trudged onward, because you know what? You can't be just a little bit pregnant. I've noticed that myself. Firsthand. So our story continues. As if there wasn't enough drama going on in this story, all of a sudden, as our children told us, Caesar Augustus decides that there has to be a census taken so that he can tax everybody. And so all of the men are called to the origin of their birth. And Joseph was born in Bethlehem. And so he has to go back to Bethlehem, and Mary is 9 months, almost 9 months pregnant. So here we are, looking at the distance, if you will look at our screen. Nazareth is up here, Bethlehem down here. There's 80 miles between the two. That's a long, long way in those days. As you can see, this road doesn't look like a superhighway. In fact, with this topographical map, we can see that this is rough terrain. It's mountainous, it's going up, it's going down, and this road is rather a treacherous trail. But not only that, the Samaritans live in this area in between. And the robbers are there too. There are people in wait, just waiting to rob people as they come through. Now the Samaritans and the Jews are not, they're not real close people. In fact, they hate each other. And so it's difficult to go through there. And so usually people go through in a caravan. They would all get together and they'd go through together because it was much safer that way. Now, they could have gone the long way. They could have gone around and avoided the Samaritans, but that would have taken even longer to go. So they figure it probably would take about a week to get from Nazareth to Jerusalem on foot or on a donkey. We're not sure where that donkey story came from. It's not in the Bible, but that was kind of the mode of transportation in that day, so we assume that Mary had a donkey to ride on. I can't even imagine riding on a donkey at 8.4 months pregnant and not having, you know, that baby the first day. I just can't see that happening. And, you know, it's going to take them a lot longer because Mary, you know, has to make lots of stops. I remember that. And so you know, this is not an easy road. You know, in the story, it looks like, oh, well, they went from Nazareth to Bethlehem, and you know, there they were. Well, it wasn't really quite that easy. And so they both had doubts on the way. They must have been both just a little afraid of why all of this was happening to them. And don't we ask that question too? You know, I'm trying to do the best I can here, and why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And we finally learned, I think we all know this now, is that we don't ask why. Because it doesn't really matter why now. We're in it. The question we want to ask at this point is, okay, how are we going to deal with this situation? How are we going to deal with it, and how are we going to get through it? And I believe that Mary and Joseph were really doing the very best they could. You know, they had to go. This baby was coming. There wasn't any choice there. And even though they must have wondered, why is this so hard, they kept first and foremost in their mind this child that was about to be birthed. Childbirth in those days was also a very dangerous thing. And so here they are on the trail, going to Bethlehem. You know, in the physical world, there are many taxing things we have to do. They were going to be taxed, but every day we have taxing things that we have to do, don't we? You know, the one that I remember most, I don't do it anymore, but was changing the kitty litter. I really, you know, I would put that off. If I had done it right away, it wouldn't have been nearly so bad, but I would put it off and put it off. And fixing meals, deciding what to eat. You know, the fixing the meal is not so bad. It's just deciding what to eat. You have that? Okay. What are all the other things? Just shout them out. What are the little things? Just little things that happen. The laundry.
Getting gas for the car.
Getting gas for the car. Just all of those things. And then something big will come up, you know, like the electricity goes out during that storm we had about a month ago. And we think, oh my gosh, you know, this is really, really, really bad. But it's not anything compared to the people who lost their entire homes and were displaced. And so there are small things that happen. The small things add up, don't they? They add up. And we think, well, there's nothing really big going on in my life right now, but it's those little things. It's those little things that just add up to the point that you just think you're going to scream. So these things happened with Mary and Joseph too. You know, they had to eat on the trail. They had to you know, change their clothes, or maybe they didn't. I don't know. I don't know if they did any laundry. Probably not on the trail. But they had things that happened, and they had a long way to go. But the thing that we do, even though it takes a certain toll on us physically and emotionally and socially, what Mary and Joseph did was they kept their mind, uppermost in their mind was the event that was coming about and being realized in their lives, but also in the world. And that's what we're to do. We are to keep our mind on our goal of where it is we are going and how we're going to get there. A young family was going home for Christmas, and the car was all packed up. The mail and the newspaper had been stopped. The neighbor was going to watch the house and feed the dog, and they were really working hard to get everything done and organized, and all the gifts for the parents and the grandparents had somehow, and the aunts and uncles had somehow been able to be fitted into the trunk of the car, and their clothes and their hanging bags were all situated, and their suitcases, and they had plenty of antifreeze in the radiator, and their suitcases, were there, and they were finally ready to go. They were finally ready to go, and the husband started out of the driveway when all of a sudden the wife gasped, "Honey, we've forgotten the baby." Sometimes things get so hectic in our own lives that we forget the baby that we are nurturing within us during this beautiful season. Things are no different today than they were for Mary and Joseph in their time. We have so many things to do to survive in this world. Consider all of the things that happen in your life. But we can keep our minds on the goal. We do not have to forget. We can keep our minds on the goal. And we can rise above any circumstance. The only things that we can control in this physical life is our thoughts and our attitude. Those are the only two things. And you might think, well, I can't control my thoughts, they just come. Well, yes, we can. We can control our thoughts. We can control our thoughts and we can control our attitude. And when we control our thoughts, we usually do control our attitude. Because when we think of things in a very positive way, when we look at things in a positive way, that is when we are able to move forward and not get stuck in all of those things that are going on in our lives. Mary and Joseph kept their mind on the goal of the miraculous birth, which was just about to occur. And we can do the same as we remain positive throughout this Christmas season and bring forth that holy child that is within. This is a fabulous time of year. It is a time to open our hearts, and I see it happening all around us. I see people doing things so much differently. Those of you who were at the concert last night saw it go off without a hitch. People stepped up to the bar. They did what was theirs to do, but not only that, sometimes they did other people's parts as well. And so it came off as just an absolutely fantastic evening, which lifted all of our spirits to new heights of this beautiful season. And so let's all be in that position where we take that extra step, where we do that extra thing of kindness. Maybe it's a smile for that clerk that's just really wiped out. Or maybe it's a smile for someone who looks so downtrodden that they really need a smile. Maybe it's a helping hand. Whatever it may be going on in your life, it's time for us to step up. It's time for us to step up and become who we're truly meant to be. And I talk about this every week, and we all know it up here. There's not one person in this room that doesn't understand what I'm saying. And we know it, and we know that it's true, but we have to experience it. We have to know it here in our hearts, and we practice every day with everyone who's around us, with our families, our friends, our coworkers. We practice. You know, no matter what is happening around us, think of it as practice. Be grateful for it. Give thanks for it. And know that you don't have to ask why. You just move on through it. You make a difference in this world with every little thing that comes along. How you respond is so important. So may God bless us all on this journey, because we are all on a wondrous journey, but we're all on it together. We are all one entity. We are just different parts doing our part in the world. And so let us never feel alone. A friendly voice is always just a phone call away, or just a visit. You don't have to feel alone at this time of the year, because love is all around us. Love is with us every moment. And let us be aware of our thoughts and our actions during this really holy time. And let us remember that we are part of the whole. I see you all glowing with an inner light that is going out from here and lighting the world. Thank you. Thank you.